The Indian Formula 4 Championship came to Coimbatore at the Curry Motor Speedway for the first time in its history. I wonder how they find grip when there's barely any layers and tire left.
Welcome back everyone. If you're new, this is the series where I recap all of my races in the Indian F1 Championship. You're joining me here at Curry Motor Speedway for round 4. The track is located in Coimbatore in Tamil Nadu, South India. It's about an hour flight from where the first 3 rounds were held in Chennai. The track consists of 15 corners. It was my first time at the track, as well as my first time driving a car since the last round, which was over a month ago by this stage. I just had to adapt to everything with only an hour of practice on the Friday and half an hour on the Saturday. Alright, so let's get into the circuit breakdown. I'm going to show you guys a lap from qualifying where I was on new tyres. It was one of my quickest laps, so yeah, it'll be interesting to watch over. The Curry Motor Speedway is a really interesting circuit. It's got some unorthodox corners. It actually used to be an airport. 1, 2, 9, 10 and 11 are some really tricky corners that caught a lot of people out, including myself. I was really focusing for most of the weekend on turn 10 and 11. Turns 3 and 4 is a tricky right-hander. You reach the lowest speed of the lap in these corners and it leads you onto the back straight, so it's really important to get this corner right. Turn 13 is quite an interesting corner because you have to turn whilst you're braking because there's a little kink on the entry right at the braking zone. Turn 15 is another really interesting corner. It looks like it's a double apex, but it's actually not. I tried a lot of different lines on the entry to this corner and so did other drivers. This corner leads you onto the main straight. This qualifying session was definitely not my best effort, but after not sitting in the car for over a month and a lack of track time this weekend, I think it went not too bad. 11th in Q1 and 12th in Q2 was definitely not the best start to the weekend, but we had 3 races and a lot of time to catch up and move forward.
The drivers would line up on the grid, and when they got going, Akil Ali Bhai had a brilliant jump, getting P1 on the inside line of Ruhan Alpha.
Race 1, so I had a really good launch at the start of this one. Just tried to keep it cautious because turn 1 and 2 are very tight corners and I had a feeling there was going to be a crash. As I predicted, there was a spin from the number 55 car.
As Divi Nandan had a spin in the background.
The number 22 car right in front of me had a really optimistic start, jumping so many cars, but I was lucky to come out in 7th from 12th. There's a car to the left of me right now, but I'm just able to cover him off, which gives me a good run coming out of turn 4 and sets me up for a good race ahead. After a pretty good start, I was relatively matching the car in front, sometimes being a bit quicker than him, but relatively matching his pace. The goal was to move forward from here. Have a near moment coming into turn 1 and 2 because I braked so much later than the car in front and I nearly hit the back rim. Very lucky to avoid that incident. Unfortunately, towards the middle of the race I started to lose pace, which caused me to get passed by other cars around me. I wasn't particularly happy with this move as I didn't get left enough room on track and I narrowly avoided a penalty for hitting the bollard. And just as I thought the race couldn't get any worse, this happened. This was a really frustrating moment in the race. set me back quite a bit and it destroyed all my ground just because someone went for an optimistic move. Fortunately for me, there was a safety car that exact same lap, because as I came around the last corner, there was a car that had crashed that same lap. This allowed me a chance to catch up to the rest of the field. This was quite a long safety car for what looked like not so big of an incident. By the time it was over, we only had 2 laps of racing left before the end of the race. After quite an interesting getaway from the car in front, I made a little bit of contact and then I tried to go for a move and he slowed down some more and I made some more contact. Luckily nothing was damaged, but I was able to make the move into turn 1. Right after I get to turn 1, I see the flag's turned yellow again because there must have been an incident ahead, so I slowed down and then the yellow car comes right back around me and passes me on yellow, which he later got penalised for. Now we can see what the yellow flags were for, as there was 2 cars that crashed ahead, which gained me 2 places. I ended up crossing the line in P11 on track, which became P9 after some penalties. Unfortunately, my footage for the first lap of the race was corrupt because I got hit from behind coming into the last corner on the first lap. After gaining a few places at the start, I ended up having an incident coming into the last corner where one of the drivers hit me from behind, turning my car off and making my car do a 180. I had to start from scratch with my race, getting dropped down all the way to last on the first lap. After this, it wasn't a very eventful race. I was just really focusing on trying to make up all the ground that I'd lost. After quite a few laps of not much happening, there was a safety car because there was a crash in front. This was quite good for me because it meant I got to catch up to the cars in front, regaining some of the ground that I lost in the first lap, and also potentially meaning that there were points on the line. After a few laps under safety car, the race restarted again. Unfortunately, I didn't get the best start, getting jumped off the line. However, I would soon catch up due to some cars crashing up ahead. Now, due to the incident on the last lap, there was another safety car. This meant the field was going to be bunched up again, and I was really hoping to not get jumped off the race start and gain some ground on the cars in front. After another few laps under the safety car, the race was on again. This time I didn't get that bad of a launch, but it was still not enough to keep me close to the car in front. The cars in front were battling quite a bit, which is good for me because it meant I got to catch up to them. I tried to stick my nose in here, there was just not enough room to get the move done. And unfortunately, on the very next lap, I got passed into turn 1. I didn't really have the pace to keep up with the cars in front, so they inevitably pulled away. And I crossed the line at disappointing 12th place on track, which later became P10 after penalties. Luckily for me, there was still one more chance to prove myself this weekend, and I was determined to make the most of it. Alright, so in between race 2 and race 3, we had a really long break, and me and a good friend Visheth, we decided to film a video together. He tried some Aussie snacks, I tried some Indian snacks. We both had so much fun filming this video, and he actually tries Vegemite. Please do check it out, it'll be linked in the description. So after the first couple of races not going my way, I was just trying to make this final race count before another 1 month break.
The winner of our Formula Junior Shootout, the global shootout organised by the Indian F4 Championship, Giancarlo Artho, the 16-year-old from Australia, is going to be starting 11th with tons of potential and just hoping that things can go his way. There's so many drivers with so much potential. I've just not seen things go around for some of them. This final Indian Formula 4 race of the weekend. The 5 red lights will go off and we're racing in Coimbatore.
It's a poor start again from Ruhan Alva. Perfect start from Akil Alibai, and Jaden Parian's got the jump.
So unfortunately the start didn't really go my way. I didn't have the best launch, which caused me to lose a few places at the start. Luckily it was a 25-minute long race, so I had a lot of time to make up this ground, but it definitely wasn't the best way to start off the final race of the weekend. After a few laps of not much happening, there was a train starting to form and I was catching up to the rear. My aim was just to pick up the scraps of them battling. After a few more laps, I was right on their tail. This would be a battle that would last the rest of the race. I had another near moment here, narrowly avoiding an incident that broke so much later than the car in front. As you can see, I was locking up the tyres, very lucky to survive that one. And again here, another near moment. I was very lucky to avoid this one. I'll take full responsibility for this. Made a little bit of contact with the car in front, but we were both very lucky to come out clean. I guess that sort of pressured him into a mistake, because right here he locks up and I'm able to get the switch back on the inside and then make a move. Skipping forward a few more laps, I was starting to catch up to the cars in front. It was making for a really great battle that would last the rest of the race.
But then Zakaria Mohammed being forced to the inside by Abhay Mohan. This is the fight for P10.
Well, it becomes a fight for P9 now that Tristan Rajakovski is in the pits. And yet again, a big lockup. It allows for more to get in the mix. Giancarlo Artho now in the fight as well.
Look at the size of the blisters on those tires. They've been really flat spotting them consistently. I wonder how they find grip when there's barely any layers of tire left.
And that's really not going to help either.
The leader of this pack was starting to hold us both up. He kept locking up in a lot of corners, which meant his tyres were starting to degrade. Me and the car behind, as well as the car in front, were catching up to him, creating a massive train.
And a lap to go. He's going to have to find a bit of control in that car and perhaps find different braking zones as well.
The next objective for me was to wait patiently for one of them to make a mistake. I was really hoping they would, because there wasn't much time left in the race, so I could maximise on the opportunity.
And again, this time it's not Abhay Mohan but Zakaria Mohammed, who has gone late into that corner, slamming down on the tyres yet again.
Good job of avoiding that, but he's now under threat by his good friend Giancarlo Artho.
With not much time left in the race, it was really important that I catch up to these guys ASAP so I could get the move done. Now, as we got closer to the end of the race, some of the racecraft that was on display was absolutely questionable. Like, take a look at this.
Has been doing the full season. Hari Mamasi just coming in from this round on, but Zakaria Mohammed wants to go for it. Being forced into the wall, he is frustrated. Says hello to a few people, but then tries to move on the outside line. That hasn't quite worked out. Perhaps a bit naughty from Abhay Mohan.
It was moves like these that brought me and the car behind within touching distance of a pass. Now coming on to the final lap of the race, the pressure was really getting to the car leading the pack. He makes some really desperate moves to try and defend, then he locks up into turn 1, which opens the door. Now I'm going to leave this part open to interpretation from you guys, because I thought I saw a move here. He didn't really see in his mirrors clearly that I was there. It ended up causing a collision, and unfortunately he ended up spinning around and coming off worst. And the car behind gains 2 free positions just like that. Now luckily for me there was no damage to the car, so I was able to come home in P9 after this. So obviously not the best way to end off the weekend, but I was still super stoked to come home with points after the really awful start we had. Now it was back to Australia to prepare myself for the final round that was back here at Kari in a month's time. Alright guys, thanks so much for watching the video. If you haven't already, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell so you guys never miss an upload by me. Also be sure to follow me on Instagram if you don't already. I'd just like to thank RPPL, Indian F4, FGSP, MP Motorsport and my engineer Jesus for all their help this weekend. I'd also like to thank Prestige Kino for all their support. Once again, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one, which will be round 5 at Kari Motor Speedway once again.